From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great because it's Wednesday, and I got my main man ready to go ahead and talk that good talk with me, my man Mike Abadir. And here he goes. What's going on, Mike? How's everything?
What's good, Pop? How you doing, man?
I see you got on the blue polo shirt. Mike is in mid-season form when it comes to the sports agent world and everything like that. How many guys did you sign at the cut day?
You know,
get people that better to get people signed up already.
So yeah, they're signed up already. By the time cut day comes around, we'll put it to you this way: as they enter the league, everybody gets their agents. Right. So you can't even negotiate with a team to get a contract unless you have an agent representing you. So cut downs are by then you're reeling as an agent because you've already invested all this time and money into the player. Now he's unemployed. It's not fun. My worst season with that was 2011, like 10 years ago, exactly.
Right.
And 11 guys that were cut.
Right.
On the cut down day.
Right.
3 of them got re-signed. But bro, that was rough, man. Because I put in like $10K per player,
right,
to get them trained for the combine, housed, fed, rental car, etc. So, for all you out there that think the agents' world is just like your money bags, no, not really. Especially because half the league is getting league minimum, right? So, it's a tough gig. I'm not asking anybody to feel sorry for me, but I'm just giving people a little bit more insight as to the ins and outs and intricacies of the agent world.
Right. You know, so that guy who needed to go put that down payment on the Ferrari, he just was like, well, we're going back to the dealership today.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Pretty much. But hey, I mean, seriously, though, you're on to something that's very accurate because they don't have guaranteed contracts in football, right. Pop. So there's a reason why 2/3 of the players retire broke or bankrupt. Right. That's a very high percentage, man.
Right. Then the
2/3.
NFL is doing a better job of financial literacy and things of that nature.
Education and stuff. Yep.
Education, bringing in those guys to talk to you and everything like that. Then you got smart players who went to good colleges, who were economic majors, who are actually trying to, teach their teammates about, after career investments and things like that. Let me give you a great example. Carl Nassib. Everybody's so worried about him coming out, being a homosexual and everything like that. But the thing is, though, the guy is a genius. If you guys saw the NFL Hard Knocks a few years ago with the Browns of all teams, he was sitting in the drill and literally sat in the drill for 30 minutes and we're going over different investments and things that and going into a fund. That's why OJ is not broke. You know what I mean? Putting your money into a fund, 20%, let it gain interest. And then you start looking at your career. Hey, you had a 4-year career. Hey, this money made this much amount of interest. Now you're ready to start your life. But he said, hey, if you become a guy that's in the league for 10, 12, maybe 15 years or so, and you don't touch that money in that fund, you're going to be set for life.
Well, that's a good positive example.
Right.
But there are a couple other scenarios which are not positive. There's plenty of them. And it involves smart people too. It's not just they're a bunch of dummies. there's two scenarios. Number one, you believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, you don't think you're getting cut.
Right.
So you're spending like that money's going to be coming because you don't anticipate getting cut.
Right.
That's the first scenario. The second scenario is, yeah, you invest, but bad investments. Not every investment's a winner. And there's too many guys that invest in recording studios and labels, and they want to get into the music world, which really is a terrible investment. I wouldn't even call that an investment. I think a horse race is probably a little bit more concrete than the music industry.
Right.
That says something. So, well, I always say this too, Pop. Just make your money.
Right.
Make your money. At the end, just save your money, make your money, save your money, and at the end, see how much you've got. And then start investing. Sure, do your 401k, get that employer contribution. But beyond that, how many 24-year-olds do you know that are investing? Now, I'm not saying they should or shouldn't, but I mean, if you're a lawyer at 30, you're probably not putting all your money into investments. You wait to accumulate some money first, see where you stand, and then pursue. So these guys are rushed very quickly to investing. And you know why, Pop, right? Because there's somebody on the other side that stands to make money.
Right.
So they sell them on this concept of, oh, you got to invest your money right away and blah, blah, blah. Well, the investments half the time lead them astray, these guys.
Right.
I remember there was one sham a couple of years ago. It was actually a pyramid scheme. And it was centered around an oil rig. So the scam was like this: Pop, give me 50,000, and in 90 days, I'm going to give you 100,000. In 90 days, they give the 100,000. And then they say, like a couple of weeks later, we got a bigger one. Give us 500,000. We'll give you back $1 million. And you keep doing this with the other people's money that put it in.
Right.
Right. And you're paying out with that money. And then the rug gets pulled.
Right.
And you're out of your biggest dollar amount. The highest investment you made, you're toast.
Right.
Because it has to end eventually. Because there's no oil rig. There's no magic oil rig.
Right.
And if there was, how does it double your money so fast?
Well, hey, the oil rig will convince you better than the yogurt. It will convince me better than the yogurt shop. Andre Rison. That Andre Rison story is too funny. He said, man, I handed the dude $150,000 to open up a yogurt shop. I went in the yogurt shop and said, damn, I lost $150,000.
Exactly right.
I said, I think that was that Art Modell money he was spending at the time.
Yeah, restaurants, a lot of them.
Modell.
Well, a lot of those guys also get into the restaurant or food service industry, and only 15% of those succeed. But so many guys have their name on it. God rest his soul, Seau, Junior Seau. He was big in San Diego. So he opened his restaurant, Seau's, right? It did okay, but it was really, really big. It had a lot of seating. It was like maybe double the size of a Buffalo Wild Wings.
Right.
Had his memorabilia up everywhere, Charger stuff up everywhere. I think some Patriots stuff too. But that's a common thing around the league that players do that. And I'd say if maybe you're a Hall of Famer, it might be successful. But I mean, ask Willie McCovey. McCovey's place in the Bay Area, I don't know how long ago it closed down, but it wasn't making any money. And that's for one of the all-time greats. So anyways, my point is restaurants, music, they all burn up so much money for these guys. That's why I say sit back, wait and see how much you make over the course of your career, and then you could get a little bit more aggressive with the investing. Until then, just go through your 401k like any other worker in any other profession, get that employer contribution, and you're good to go.
I can dig it.
That's my agent take, fellas.
That's sound advice. if we got any future pros watching this right now, y'all better sign up with Mike because he's gonna put you in the right direction.
Well, I'm just gonna make sure that you don't go broke.
Right,
and I'm gonna make sure that nobody is leading you to these magic investments.
Right. Stay away from Rock Nation. I swear they fumbled so many stars, and I just never get it when guys sign up with them. But it is what it is at the end of the day. You know what I mean? You know, they don't have professionals like you can't have somebody's cousin that is thinking about being an agent be your agent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt about it. And look,
store, so I know how to manage people.
well, look, man. You mentioned like Rock Nation. Let me ask you something. Would you go bank at Bank of America just because Michael Jordan's name is associated with it? If he banks there, do you go bank there?
Nope.
No, because you're not going to get Michael Jordan treatment.
Right.
So it doesn't matter. Jay-Z, this, that. That doesn't mean Jack, you know what?
Right.
People don't get it, though.
Right. They truly don't. But, Mike, it's time to have some fun, though, right now. And I'm glad that we had the agent talk and guys getting cut talk.
Yeah, we want to now talk the other end of the spectrum, right? Before they even think about the NFL.
Right.
Or they might be thinking about it, but they're still pretty far away.
And it's funny to me because it's like, you know, we always bring up a topic to start off the show that I did not send you in the script. So it's always fun that we get into that portion of it. But
this segues actually kind of perfectly.
Right.
Right. Guys who desperately want to get to the NFL and their coaches want to be the next Bill Belichick. Right.
Yeah. Bill Belichick or the coach from Unnecessary Roughness. What are the other? But Bishop Sycamore, Columbus, Ohio, the pride of Columbus, Ohio. The school was made up last month, Mike. And dude, how does ESPN and IMG, who's a top 5 school in the nation, really put themselves in a position to play a team that has no credibility in the state of Ohio, no credibility in the nation at all, and they just started last month as well too. And you want to play because they claimed they had seven potential All-Americans, and that guys are D1 guys. I just looked at the locker room speech before the game. I thought it was a gang meeting the way that they were talking. You know what I mean? And you were going into a concert or something, and you were ready to go rob everybody. It's pretty much. And then you looked at the players on the team and were like, "Geez, Louise, none of these guys are in high school, unless it's the extended high school, the continuation school that let 20-year-olds still go there." But it was absolutely a joke situation, and ESPN really felt like dissing hard on that school. But I said at the same time, though, you need to be accountable for what you just did, ESPN and IMG. And IMG, reason why they will play a school like this is because they know they want to pad their stats, and they're the same type of situation, but they're accredited. It's a difference. You know what I mean? Where you have a school where kids do online classes, but it's really a sports academy. IMG. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, you knew who you were playing. And you knew that they didn't have anybody that was that good on that team. And you know you wanted to go pad them stats, and you wanted to go take a road trip, and you brought the ESPN cameras with you. It's that simple. And I don't like the stupidity of them. I didn't know that they were like that.
ESPN, I'm going to give you guys some advice here. Maybe you've never heard of this, but you go on to your web browser. You open up your web browser, right? And there's a site called rivals.com. There's another one called Max Preps.
Right.
There's 24/7. I could go on and on and on.
Right.
You can look this stuff up, man, for how many recruits are actually out there. You could also go to the local newspaper, see if there's any articles about them. Just Google Columbus Times. There would be at least an article or two that says so-and-so is going to Ohio State. So-and-so is going to Penn State. So-and-so is going cross country to USC. And then lastly, why don't you look up the standings? Look up 2021, 2020, 2019. All of what I said takes you no more than 5 minutes, man. They pulled the wool over their eye. That was some like Bart Simpson type shit, man.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Because I thought that we might have been watching a comedy show or something when they started coming out with the stories and everything like that. And then the way that the coach was swigging on the Gatorade on the sideline, that should give you just that this team is kind of suspect. Like, you've never seen a coach swig on the Gatorade bottle during the game. You just don't see that type of stuff.
What a terrible example for these young men.
Right. And I felt like he was taking it away from them too. Like, you don't get to drink. Y'all getting beat. And they said these were JUCO dropouts. So that means that these guys went to the JUCO practice and quit the first day. When you say JUCO dropout.
And they still got their ass whooped.
From a JUCO, Mike. You know that, right? You can't get cut from the team because it's against the rules. You know, you let everybody play. You know, if you make it through the training camp, you're on the team, even if you don't get no playing time. But come on, man, you quit the first week, first day, and then you want to go out here and go play the best 16, 17-year-olds in the nation and think that you have a chance?
Unreal, man.
Grown men getting whooped on. But you know what, though? These schools are doing a lot of I like to say, I'm just going to be honest with you, cheating in a sense. You got schools that are housing guys that are 19 years old.
Oh, yeah.
And they're playing against these 16, 17-year-olds, and they're preparatory schools. Let me give you a great example of a school that was a total sham, but they put about 20, 30 guys in the NBA. Finlay Prep in Las Vegas. How do you have this whole school is 20 people, and it's the basketball team, and they all live in the same house, which is a brand new house over in Henderson. And we're not saying anything about this. We're just going to keep going on about our business for a good 5-6 years because they was able to funnel out, NBA basketball players. And the moment somebody had a situation at the house, a fight or something like that, that's when we want to go ahead and investigate some things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? After we took advantage of, bringing all these guys to UNLV, bringing Avery Bradley was was a star player there as well too. Tristan Thompson, it was one of the 5 high schools he went to in a 2-year stretch. You know what I mean? Because Tristan had a real rough ride his last few years in high school. He was a very uncoachable player, but he made up for it later on in the end. You got Texas, and then you were able to trick the Cavs and drafting you in the top 5. So then, you get yourself an NBA title, get yourself a Kardashian, and
there you go.
Life is good, Mike.
There you go.
So it is what it is at the end of the day. But Bishop Sycamore, man, you are not the problem. High school sports in general is the problem right now, in my opinion, Mike. I think that, I look at my old high school, they still traditional. Pasadena High School, they got a football game tomorrow. They got a great team. They got worked up. They lost by 9 points to Sherman Oaks. Sherman Oaks, Notre Dame, one of the best teams that you can supply in the Southern California area. Alumni John Carlos Stanton, Travis Johnson as well too, and we played against Travis as well too when I was at Pasadena High School. So pretty much when you look at this situation, you tell yourself that it used to be kind of a messed up situation when you have private and public schools, and the private schools had such an advantage because they can recruit, but now you got the public schools recruiting as well too. And then you kind of run into a situation where, once again, you got these little feeder schools that, like the school that LeBron's son goes to, that just pop up out of nowhere in these nice little suburban areas. And now these guys are getting all the rankings all the time. And I just really feel like, don't poach away from, these public schools, because they got to have that. That's like, it's like a small town basketball. It's like the minor leagues, man, or just things that you have to have. You have to keep those guys at home, man.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
I agree with you.
It's really
it's a disgrace, man, what's happening. They've more than just monetized high school sports. They've exploited it. And that's very unfortunate to do that, to use young men in that regard, and not ensure that they've got a good future lined up. Right? You don't care about that. You just care about winning. That's all you care about. And it's going to reflect when these young men can't get jobs or in trouble with the law or whatever the case may be. They were basically used, abused, and churned out. So what do you think they're going to do for the rest of their lives?
Right.
It's not a formula for success, man. You know, remember Trent Dilfer?
Yep.
Quarterback, Super Bowl winner with the Ravens, played a long time with the Bucks. Was a high draft pick, first-round draft pick from Fresno State. He's now coaching in the Central Valley. And I think over the weekend, you know, he had a little incident. He's so darn competitive. I think it was the quarterback even, but somebody came onto the sidelines and he just started shoving them. I mean, he got physical.
Right.
And it was all recorded.
From
and I'm thinking, dang, man.
Mouthing off.
Perhaps.
Right.
But I mean, like, there's cameras everywhere. There's parents. You know, dude, you won a Super Bowl, man. It's not that big of a deal. Somebody's mouthing off, pull them from the game. Bench them next game. Suspend them from the team. You can't get physical with them. But that's what high school sports have become, is a money machine factory. And for the most part, they have the backing of the administration of the school. Not to hit, but push the envelope as much as you can to churn out those bucks.
Right. Agreed.
That's all I got to say on the matter. It's disgraceful.
And hopefully we can get Crenshaw and Dorsey on the field this year. They couldn't even field their first game of the season because they couldn't get players cleared. And, you know, Crenshaw and Dorsey are a staple of Los Angeles City high school football, basketball as well, too. But they've had a lot of, you know, local guys get poached away by schools like Mater Dei, who went out to Duncanville and absolutely obliterated that team. And, you know, 25, 30 years ago, they used to only take 1 or 2. Now they're taking 5 or 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, and I'm just like, damn, who wants to ride out to Orange County every morning at 5 a.m.?
Yeah, seriously, man.
Seriously, dude. Like, seriously. All right, man, let's get into horse racing.
Let's.
This was a big weekend for Bob Baffert. This was Bob Baffert's big middle figure with Medina Spirit once again winning a big race and winning in convincing fashion as well too. And we both know, Mike, with the way that things work out, and even if the horse has some scandals behind it or anything like that, the horse can run. It's that simple. You know what I mean? The horse wins races, and he's most likely going to be the favorite for the Classic, because this might be once again one of the most wide open classics of them all at Del Mar. Because, you know, I just got to say this, Mike, before we even get there in the next few months, it's going to be a lot of upsets at Del Mar that weekend. Let's just get ourselves prepared.
For sure.
That track is going to run a certain way that will fit certain horses' styles that other tracks just don't do. They don't do the job for that.
100%, man.
You know, and I think that the Classic is a race that's going to have a surprise finish, but Medina Spirit will be getting a lot of the tabloids and a lot of the news because the way he just ran in the last race. But I know
let's set up the situation for those who maybe haven't followed along or don't remember all the way back in May.
Right.
So Bob Baffert's had a lot of heat over the last few years. There's a lot of haters out there. There's a lot of East Coast bias. There's a lot of people who don't like that he's been dominant in the Triple Crown series, in the Kentucky Derby especially. And long story short, I don't know the medication. Maybe Pop does. But his horse tested barely, like a nanogram above the legal limits for the state of Kentucky. Now, the interesting thing is the amount was within the guidelines, within the rules in California. This horse went out to Kentucky to run the Kentucky Derby, gets popped. Not only gets popped, but New York jurisdiction, they basically piggyback on Kentucky and are like, we don't want Baffert here. So I don't know what to make of it, Pop. Where there's smoke, there's fire. But I also think that people are out to get him.
Right. And my thing is like, why do you want to just devalue your biggest star? Because if it was Del Romans or one of those Kentucky-based trainers, they would have overlooked it, just like they do in California when they're just like what happened with Authentic, Justify. Authentic was the one that won the Triple Crown, right? Or was it Justify? It was Justify.
Justify.
Right? Yeah, Justify had a bad test too, but the CHRB overruled it and said that it wasn't enough to say that it was a positive test. You know what I mean? It was just something that was a false positive, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They redid it. It wound up being a negative. And, if it wasn't Baffert, they probably wouldn't have never even brought it up. But they wanted to figure out a way to just ruin what Bob Baffert's doing, because if it's a Kentucky trainer winning that race all the time, oh, it's awesome. But how can we mess it up for California in a sense? Because they got all the best horses, all the fast horses, all the horses that really go out there and make history in the last decade. You know what I mean? Right out 5 minutes away from my house at Santa Anita or at Del Mar or rest in peace, Hollywood Park. And at the end of the day, it's just, I think it's a West Coast bias that's going on as well, too. If that was Sadler, they would have did the same thing to Rock Your World. I promise you that, Mike. And I just think that they get pretty mad that California horses keep coming to Kentucky and keep whooping butt. You know what I mean? And, that's getting tiring for them because they got so many horses in Kentucky. But why can't you beat this horse that's based out of California? You know what I mean? What are they doing in California? So, right, they have those low fields. They have all this. How can they come out here and beat us? Because it's the best of the best, man. You know what I mean? And they just had to get with that. They know that.
They California horsemen, trainers, owners are very underrated in their 2-year-old purchases, in their yearling purchases, in their bloodstock agents, in their scouting, right? It all starts well before the trainer even puts his hands on a horse.
Right. Right. So, hey, it is what it is. It's fun. I'm just kind of excited for the last weekend of Del Mar, I guess. So it is what it is at the end of the day. But Medina Spirit could be a big winner here and get Bob Baffert a big, big middle finger.
Yep.
And show you guys that, he does this training thing. He guides his horses in shape. He wins the big races. It is what it is. But then you still got John Sadler and his winner of the Pacific Classic as well, too. I expect a duel between those two horses as well. And, I don't really consider anything back east right now because those horses are kind of running exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there it is with some horse racing. Let's go ahead and get into this final NFL preview that we have. Mike is here on the last day of the NFL preview. Good for him because we're done with that. We're getting ourselves prepared for NFL bet exchange that will be starting next week with me and Jeff Dawson. So everybody be ready to get their money because we're going to be taking care of some people. And I'll be in Vegas opening weekend as well, too, watching the games and everything like that. And, shooting the breeze and everything like that with other people that think they know the NFL better than everybody else. You know what I mean? Try to get that super contest in, man. But we got Washington football team. They're an intriguing team, Mike, in every sense of the word, because they got a defense that is a playoff type defense, but they got an offense that's a 5-win type of offense. And I don't know if they're going to be able to do what they did last year because they were playing kind of on everybody's against us. Everybody's been laughing at us. We don't even have a mascot anymore because, everybody's mad about that. So we had to change the team up or get kicked out the NFL. But they withstood all that adversity and they took advantage of a terrible division in the NFC East and pretty much played their best football, I think, the last 6 weeks of the season. We got a monster win over Pittsburgh at the end stretch as well, too. And they showed that they got the grit and determination to really stay in games and get themselves some good wins. But I think that maybe they might have been a year too early in a sense, and bringing in Ryan Fitzpatrick as your starting quarterback is not going to get you to the playoffs this year, in my opinion.
The best thing that they have going for them is the division that they're in. And I'm not saying that to clown on the team. I'm just saying there's really no standout there. And maybe each of the teams improved a little bit, but they're clearly inferior like the worst team in the NFC West, Pop, is better than the best team in the NFC East. Would you agree?
Yep. Right now, when we look at last year, but we'll let me not even start because the Cowboys are, every time I get on this Cowboys, well, the Cowboys are going to be really good this year and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. They go out there and shoot themselves in both foots, not just one foot, both foots.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I hear you.
Then they start winning when you don't need them to win. Damn, just like the damn Yankees.
Just I mean, look, the Cowboys should put up some numbers offensively if Dak is right. So that's going to be fun to watch. But back to Washington for a moment. The division is the number one factor. Number two, as you already mentioned, the defense is really solid. All right. They've amassed so many picks defensively. They've been able to put together a good defensive roster. Here's the thing. Do you remember the old-time formula, Pop? A good defense and a running game?
Yep.
They have themselves a nice little running back in Antonio Gibson. Right? J.D. McKissick is a pretty good change of pace back who can catch the ball out of the backfield. So they're a pretty good 1-2 punch. And I'm of the mindset that when you've got a good defense and you've got a running game, that's a formula for being able to, stay in a lot of ball games that maybe you don't even belong to be in. So what's the over under on this one? 8?
Yep.
I think they'll be right at 8. I think that's a push.
You think it's a push? I think that their best bet is winning 7 games this year. But let me say this, though. Chase Young is just as impactful for the Redskins as Khalil Mack was for the Raiders. Even though Khalil Mack is still an excellent player, it's just not the same as it was when he was on the Raiders. Because literally he used to take whole games over and make it to where this will wind up being a Raiders victory because you've set up a touchdown, you've set up a sack fumble, all at the right time, and you're doing everything right when you need it to happen. And those players are special.
He was like Donald from the Rams, just like super impactful.
Those players are absolutely special. I call that the school of Lawrence Taylor, man. Seriously, where you can affect the offense and become the most valuable player on the field on a side of the ball that doesn't ask for you to be that damn good. It just do your job. That's what it really is when you think about defense. But when you got a
100% agree, man.
But when you got a stellar guy on the defensive side, anything can happen. It gives you the utmost confidence that you can make the playoffs. So we'll see how it goes. Washington will be a team that will make you some money on Sundays. That's one thing I can say. They will cover those high doggy spreads when they are handed out to them. So with that, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And when we get back, we're going to go ahead and talk some Dodgers. And we're going to go ahead and talk some baseball for Tuesday as well, too. So you guys stay tuned to the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and the sports radio, sports agent aficionado himself, Mr. Mike Abadir. We'll be right back.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune into Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right. And Mike, what did I tell you? It's September 1st. And guess how many games the Dodgers are out of first place today?
0.5.
0.5, sir. So that means that they're going into San Francisco this weekend with the possibility of taking back first place. And I know that now it's crunch time. And I told you, Mike, when we get to September, be ready. The Dodgers will be there to pounce. Now we're at the stretch drive, and you've been sitting up there pacing and pacing and pacing. You got some engine up underneath that hood. And they gave you a little, distract. They gave you a little, interference on the way over. You know what I mean? You had to kind of get out the Padres who want to be at the top of the pace with you. You know what I mean? And so you alleviated them. Now it's time to pounce on the Giants and run away with this thing. But we'll see. We've been talking about it for a while, but it looks like we're in position now, Mike, to make that happen. And now it's all on the Dodgers. They've done what they had to do, and I think they got pretty much the luck of the schedule as well too. You get to play at home against a Braves team that is rarely beats you, even though they're a really good team. And then the San Francisco 49ers, the San Francisco Giants, got to play against the hottest team in baseball, the Milwaukee Brewers, a team that really has been kicking butt. Nobody's been talking about it. And then they get to come to San Francisco and show out a little bit. So, man, this is how the tables turn, because it's September. Guys are getting tired now, and we will see how this month ends. But the Dodgers are in the driver's seat to win the division. They have no excuses anymore.
What would you think if the Giants swept the Dodgers?
Oh, man.
And then also the reverse. What would you think if the Dodgers swept the Giants? Would you be like, that team is going to win the division? They just put a stamp on the division right there.
I would think, but you know what? I have to be realistic as well too. It's 30 days in this month, and they're playing at the beginning of the month, so you have 4 weeks to really go ahead and see who's going to win this division. This weekend means absolutely nothing, but it means absolutely everything at the same time too. And I think that if the Dodgers are able to have that advantage and win this series, they'll be able to have the confidence to move forward. And I think the Giants, they won't be broken, but it's going to be like, damn, we couldn't get rid of them. You know what I mean? So, you don't get the final weekend like we used to get, Mike, when we was younger. You know what I mean? I remember one year the Dodgers were playing for the pennant, the old school way of us doing it, because you used to just have the West and the East in both leagues. So the pennant used to mean a little bit more because you were trying to beat out 8 teams, 9 teams, 10 teams to get there. You know what I mean? And I remember one weekend, it was in the early 90s as well too. I don't even think Barry was there yet. I think that it was still the good old Giants. And this one, Billy Swift was their best pitcher. And I remember the Dodgers went to that series that weekend trying to get to the playoffs and everything like that. And they got absolutely land-based the first 2 games and were out by Sunday. So that was a final weekend series, and that was the big hype of the whole Major League Baseball. And this actually set up the Braves to start their run as well, too, because the Braves were actually a Western team at that time. You know what I mean? And
yeah. And by the way, just a quick footnote, the Dodgers paid them back. They were out of the race, but Mike Piazza, remember that? Mike Piazza hits a home run to knock the Giants out a couple of years later.
Yep. And that was absolutely crazy, because it was funny because they started off that Friday night and Barry obliterated like 2 home runs that night, and they were already thinking, okay, well, the Giants will get this win. And then the Dodgers won in dramatic fashion that Sunday to go off and get them out the playoffs. So this is holy war between these 2 teams. Now I wish it could be the final weekend where they have this series, but that's not going to happen. So I'm thinking that whoever wins here at the top of the month is going to have enough confidence in themselves to go ahead and just finish off the division.
Look, I think this series is a little bit more important for the Dodgers, to be honest with you. The reason I say that is because if they lose, then it's kind of status quo. This has been happening all year. Giants are first, Dodgers are second. They didn't do anything to change that. So I'm going to get up close and personal with you guys here. So let's just say that the Giants sweep the Dodgers. All right. Giants win 3 in a row. They'd be up then by 3.5 games. That's a nice little cushion going into the remainder of the month, the remainder of the schedule. Now, if the Dodgers win, let's just say 3 in a row, what the Giants have in their favor is, hey, this is just a small little road bump. We've been first place all year long. Let's go out, keep playing Giants baseball. We'll be okay. The Dodgers get swept, on the other hand, there's going to be a big problem, which is, well, how are we going to knock these guys off? Is it even possible? That's what the Dodgers are up against, in my opinion. Now, they should hopefully be healthier. And I think Pop will give us a little bit more insight onto the injury status. But Clayton Kershaw coming back is going to be a big boost to that rotation. Just his presence and having a left-hander, right? Keep in mind, they've already lost 2 of their best starters in Bauer and Kershaw. So this team has really, really been performing well, considering how many teams around the major leagues, if they lost their top 2 guys, or 2 of their top 3 guys, let's just say, would still be in the race. Now, they have an embarrassment of riches, right? Because they have Walker Buehler, probably the front runner for the 2021 National League Cy Young Award. They also were able to get Max Scherzer, probably the pitcher of the decade. So they keep replacing guys. With that said, Kershaw coming back is going to be really, really huge. Like I said, having that left-hander, his experience, he's so battle-tested. I think that'll help them down the stretch, Pop. But like I said, if the Dodgers lose this series, I think it'll be worse for them than the Giants. Because if the Dodgers lose the series, the question is going to be, okay, what's going to change for the rest of the year? The Giants just reaffirmed what's been happening all along. It's kind of like in horse racing, right, Pop? How are you going to make up that 1.5 lengths? Right? You've gone up against this horse 7 times in your career. You're 0 for 7. How are you going to make up that length and a half? That's what's going on right now. If the Giants win the series or sweep the series.
Right. And, that's great to have that, you have to have that on the front of your brain. But I remember Magic used to have a good saying back in the 80s during the Showtime days, it's winning time. And that's what the Dodgers are on right now. When the Dodgers have to play in a situational game type situation, they've been good in those situations where they have to overcome somebody and be in a spot like this. This is not their first time at the rodeo like this. So that's why I got a lot of confidence in this team. Even if they drop 2 out of 3, they can figure out a way to still win this division at the end of the month.
Yeah, but what's a little bit concerning to me is their poor record, like in extra innings.
Right.
They've also got a really poor record against winning teams this year.
Hey.
So they beat up on the trash teams.
Right. But when they need to win those big games, they win them. The games that they need to win, they've won this year. Even though I know they haven't caught the Giants yet, there's been moments, though, that they had stepped in with San Diego. Things could have fell apart with San Diego a week ago. They went in there and swept them. So I'm thinking that their mentality right now is that whoever thinks that they're the top echelon, they're the top team, they're going to have to deal with us. Period, point blank. We the world champs, regardless of it being a 60-game season. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. We still the world champs, and we still are the team that pretty much helped crown the last few champions as well, too. You had to go through the Dodgers to get that championship, the Nats, the Astros, and the Red Sox. So, hey.
Well, you mentioned Magic. I'm going to mention Ray Lewis. If he was in the locker room, he'd say, "What time is it? Winning time. What time is it? Winning time. Any dogs in the house? Woof, woof, woof. Any dogs in the house? Woof, woof, woof." He always started every single break, bring the team in, break, go out in the field and kick some butt. That's September for you. It's got to be, what time is it? It's got to be winning time.
Yep.
It's got to start right now. Now, they've been winning, but they've made up a little bit of ground, but probably not as much ground as a team would normally make up during such a hot streak that the Dodgers have been on. So that might be a little bit of source of frustration too. You got to wonder, hey, did they really just have their best stretch and make up 2 games? Or have they peaked out, or do they have more in them to continue winning at that pace?
Right.
We'll see. But the same could be said about the Giants too, which is, hey, now that they're kind of experiencing a little bit of road bump, did they kind of fall into place? Did they remember who they are? Do they remember who they're supposed to be? So we're going to learn a lot, I think, in the next 5 or 6 days here, Pop. Between the Brewers series, between the Dodgers series, we're going to know a little bit more about who the Giants are.
One last thing, I'm going to go with my horse racing analogy.
Yes, please.
The Giants are being measured by the Dodgers, and when it comes down to it at the end of the month, the Dodgers were much the best today.
They'll get their nose down.
When it comes down to the race, the Dodgers were much the best today. So that's what I'm feeling at the end of the month. So I'm confident. I like it. Both teams are going to make the playoffs. That's awesome. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. Let's get into these baseball games, though, Mike.
Let's do it.
We got a good one here for us to start off with. It's the Cardinals and the Reds, the oldest rivalry in baseball. A lot of people don't even know that, but the Cardinals and the old Red Stockings from back in the late 1800s, they've been playing each other that long, Mike. That long, brother. You know what I mean? I think they even played the first game on TV against each other. So, they go way back, but nobody really brings that up because nobody cares. So it's game 2 this afternoon. It should be a good one. It starts at 3:40 our time. And yesterday.
So that's a 7-inning game for you over-under players. 7 innings.
Yep. And you got plus 135 on the Cards. You got minus 165 on the Reds today. I think that this could be a good game for the Reds today. They got Sonny Gray on the mound, and they're trying to keep pace. They're in a deadlock tie for the second wild card spot with the Padres. I know the Reds know it's a must-win situation in both games, but this is the game I think they do win because this was the actual set game for yesterday, but it got canceled out because of weather. So I like the Reds in this spot today. What are your thoughts, Mike?
Yeah, the Cardinals won game 1, 5-4. They're the road team, and it's very hard to sweep a doubleheader. Just first and foremost, very difficult to sweep. They usually end up being splits. On top of it, the Cardinals are the road team. Yeah, it's going to be a good. This is a good opportunity to back the Reds here, man. I agree with you 100%. Now, that's how I would wager if I was wagering this game. Now, with that said, Pop, you know what happens if the Cardinals win?
They're back.
I almost can't believe it. They'd be a half game behind the Reds. If the Cards win today, they'd be a half game out of the Reds, who are in pole position for the playoffs. The fight has been between the Padres and the Reds. That's all we've heard about for weeks. But the Cardinals have just inserted themselves in the conversation by winning game 1. So that's another subplot that's fascinating to see what happens with this one. Very quietly, the Cardinals are putting it together, man.
Yep. And you know what? That's just St. Louis for you. One of the best organizations ever. And I'm never surprised when they figure out how to get into a race because this team has never been bad in my lifetime. Like, literally, no. I've never seen them lose 100 games. I never even seen them lose 90 games in a season. The Cardinals, even on an off year, they're still a team that you have to reckon with. Even when you go to St. Louis, you play at Busch Stadium, you're going to have to play very good baseball to win that game. So, that team gets a lot of props from me, and I think that pretty much it's like they've surprised me before, but they don't just surprise me anymore. You know, I actually had this team winning the division this year as well too, and it didn't happen. But you know what? They're still in position to possibly get to the playoffs. And if anybody makes it to the playoffs out these three teams chasing that second spot, I will put my money on the Cardinals, even though I had the Reds pegged as a playoff team after the All-Star break.
Makes sense to me, brother. What do we got next?
So we move on to the Yankees and the Angels. And last night I was able to hand out the plus 170 on the show for the Angels, because when you look at it, I knew that the Angels were going to give the Yankees fits throughout this whole series this week. The Yankees always give the Yankees always have issues in Orange County. Always. It just never seems to be a good spot for them. Even, you know, they could be on the hottest streak of the season like they were, and they'll still run into problems here. But today, though, they have Garrett Cole on the mound, California guy. I think today they stopped the bleeding a little bit, and they actually win this game, and win this game by 2 or more runs. I love the Yankees in this spot today.
It's kind of funny because the Yankees, they kind of mirrored the Dodgers in the sense that they finally put it together to play their best stretch of baseball. And that's why I was saying my concern for the Dodgers is, have they peaked out? Because it's not sustainable to be able to win at that kind of clip in the major leagues over such a long period of time. You could do it for 20, 25 games, but can you keep it up for another 20, 25 games? And for the Yankees, right now, the answer is no. They're losers of 4 straight. This West Coast road trip hasn't been very nice to them. I'm not going to say that there's ever a must win on any one individual game, especially when you have a month to go. But I think this is an important win, because if you can win with your ace on the hill to stop the bleeding against Packy Naughton, who? Packy Naughton is on the other side pitching for the Angels. All of this, Pop, lines up to suggest the Yankees will win. So I'm going to go the other way with this. The Yankees are cold. The Angels have their number, like you said. Angels are winners of 3 in a row. I like betting streaks. I like riding streaks. So if they weren't playing each other, I would take the Yankees to lose, and I'd take the Angels to win. The fact that they're playing each other, give me the Angels in a monster upset tonight.
Well, you know, I just can't trust nobody named Packy right now.
Yeah.
What's his real name? His mother did not name him Packy. I know.
I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of the name Packy, anything with PAC starting it right now.
Yeah, you know, that's the conversation that I know we'll have later. So, yeah, but let's move on to the next game.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, so it's Orioles plus 195, Jays minus 250. And we have ourselves a very good spot here for a lot of people who feel like they have a sure thing, and the sure thing here is the over. Matt Harvey's pitched much better in the last 2 months, but it doesn't matter, because when he pitches really well, the team has to be really bad. But if he pitches against one of these division rivals or a team that's a bit better than the Orioles, he's not getting killed like he was at the beginning of the year, but he's still giving up runs, though. So I still think to myself, this will wind up being an over game, because the Orioles probably pitching staff is probably over this last 6 weeks is giving up maybe about 8 runs a game as a whole group. You know what I mean? It's absolutely dreadful, Mike. Like, when you see those Orioles pitchers, you like batting practice, stat time, stat pattern. Let's go ahead and get it. But, yeah, I like the over here, Mike.
You know, Toronto's in 4th place. And keep in mind something. Sitting at 69 and 62, if they were in the National League, they'd be right there for the wild card spot. Right? The Reds have 1 more loss than the Blue Jays. The Padres have the same amount of losses. They'd be a game back from the Padres. That's how competitive the American League is this year. They're probably not going to make it, right? Most of the models have their chance of making it in the playoffs at a little bit under 10% chance, whereas the other 3 teams in the American League East are 99.9, 92, and 73.5. So those three teams above them are probably going to make it. If they were in any other division, man, they'd be in much better shape. But fortunately for them, they're playing the worst team in baseball. Couldn't have come at a better time. You got to roll with the Toronto Blue Jays. I think Matt Harvey is a bet against just about any time he takes the bump. Steven Matz has been all right for the Blue Jays. I like your over also. This will not be a pitcher's duel, Pop. No pitcher's duel here.
Let's get some fireworks over at Sky Dome. That's what Sky Dome is good for, having some great games that end in a lot of hitting. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward to the next game, another AL East game between the top teams in the division. Well, they used to be the top team in the division, but it's been a bad last 6 weeks for the Red Sox. They've fallen all the way to third place, but they're right there, nip and tuck with the Yankees. So that's fine. That's great theater in itself. But the Rays have the best record in the AL and the best record tied for the best record in baseball. And honestly, I think they finished with the best record in baseball because the way that they're set up right now, they're not worried about their division rivals this month. They're playing against a lot of teams that are outside of the division or at the bottom rung of the division. And I think tonight, though, the Red Sox gain a little bit of ground, though, because the Rays are so hot. And I think that they run into a big issue tonight. Mr. Chris Sale, who's been pitching absolutely dynamite lately. And I think that he gets him a big win. And this could possibly be something that can spark this Red Sox team into maybe sweeping a series this weekend as well, too, which they desperately need.
Yeah, they desperately do need to to right the ship here. They were actually playing pretty good baseball for the last maybe 10 days until they got to Tampa. And Tampa just flexed their muscle and showed me, at least, I think they are the best team in baseball. I'm not saying they have the best players in baseball, but I think they have the best team in baseball. And I think the Rays have established that and proven that they have one of the toughest schedules compared to any NL team, but yet they keep churning out wins. And like you said, they're tied for the best record in all of baseball. But tonight, I'm with you 100%. Chris Sale, he's been lights out. He's given them really great hope to not worry about a wild card game, right? Hey, we were in perfect position to win this division. We went through a rough patch. Unfortunately, the Rays played their best baseball when we hit a rough patch. Okay, no problem. Because if we get that wild card game, which is what it looks like, we throw out Chris Sale, we're going to win that game. And then wild card's all forgotten about. Now we'll get into a series. You feel me?
Yeah.
So they're going to make that wild card slot irrelevant because they got Chris Sale. And the first 3 games he's played against easier opponents. This will be his first big test since 2019. I think he passes with flying colors. The Red Sox win this game 3-1.
All right. So y'all heard it from Mike. I got him on the money line tonight as well, too. So let's see how it shakes out. Let's see how it goes. It should be a really good game tonight as well, too. Now we move into an interleague game tonight. And this one right here could be a game that gets people, betting tonight. You know what I mean? Because the Pirates have played the White Sox well. They did lose by 2 runs yesterday, but they were competitive throughout that whole game as well, too. So there is a possibility that they go into this game tonight going against Carlos Rodon, who's just now getting back to, healthy status. And I don't like games like this when they set up a pitcher who's been out for a long period of time with a minus 350 just because you say the Pirates are maybe not good enough to step it up in this situation, but they've already beat this team 3 out of 4 times of playing them too this year. So, I mean, not 3 out of 4, but they swept them in Pittsburgh. So they're not really scared of anything that the White Sox have to offer. So you could be putting yourself in a dangerous situation with the White Sox tonight. That's why I say scoreboard watch here, and I'm just going to deal with the over in this spot.
I like that. I'm actually going to take the White Sox and the over.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll ride the arm of Carlos Rodon, and on the other side, Max Kranick is not anything to fear. And that White Sox lineup is they keep churning out runs, man. They got a lot of playmakers. They got a lot of weapons offensively, and Tony La Russa has done a fantastic job managing this team. Probably manager of the year after being idle for a long time and coming back into the game. Game didn't pass him up. La Russa's been there every step of the way, front office, manager. He's done it all. He's a Hall of Famer. And they win this game tonight. Big. I'll go the -1.5.
All right. Maybe you might want to play 2.5.
I'll do it.
It's a lot.
Let's do it.
You know, it's a big spread tonight on that money line.
Yeah, I think they win this game 10-4.
Well, we'll
so
see.
I've given out 2 scores now: 3-1 Boston, 10-4 Chicago.
All right. So, you must be playing squares or something tonight, Mike. Is the squares? All right.
Squares.
All right. So pretty much that's it with the Pirates at the White Sox tonight. Should be a good one. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. But all in all, I want that over tonight, Mike. That's all I can say. I want that over. All right, so we got the final game of the night, and here goes my upset special for everybody today. I'm just going to say it, Mike. Brewers sweep. The Giants are on their back. The Giants are at that moment right now where the shadows are coming. And, you know,
shadows,
you know what I mean? And they've got punched out the last 3 out of 4 games, man. Actually, you know this, Mike. Lost 2 out of 3 to Atlanta this weekend. Already lost 2 in this series as well, too. So they've dropped their last 4 out of 5 games. And I just feel like their backs are not even against the wall. They're on the floor. And pretty much they're trying to recuperate right now. Like, literally, like, they have been hit with the reality of the situation that, okay, now we're in playoff mode. Everybody who's chasing a playoff spot. And, you know, are you guys up to the task? That's my whole thing. And that's why I've been dogging them the whole show as well, too, Mike. Not because I'm a Dodger fan. It's just because what I'm seeing. I've seen teams falter like this late in the year. You know, the Red Sox, a la Red Sox a few years back. Who else had the Angels back in the 90s? You know, losing out on a great lead, and Mariners come
snuck up,
pick up the piece. You know what I mean? So we'll see how it goes. But, you know, I've been wrong about a lot of things in baseball this year. I said the Yankees weren't going to make the playoffs. Looks like they're going to make the playoffs this year. So
yeah, I said the same thing. So
we agreed that no Yankees playoff this year. Just blow the whole thing up. Get rid of Stanton. Get rid of Judge. Just go ahead and rebuild that whole situation back up. Get your money back. But no,
it's almost like the baseball gods heard us and are like,
right,
not so fast, gentlemen.
Not
so fast.
We'll just go ahead and spin up our minor league system and go bring 2 power hitters over here on the trade deadline and boost up the morale in the dugout. And that went ahead and worked.
Yep.
They did it. Now you got 2 gangsters in Gallo and Rizzo. I'm telling you, guys sound like they're from the Barzani family. Like Gallo and Rizzo. Gallo and Rizzo. I'm gonna send Gallo and Rizzo over there.
Yeah,
that's the vibe that you get when you heard those 2 were on the Yankees. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do, man. But bringing it back to baseball and not the mafia for a quick second, man, I can't get with Gallo. He's batting .210, man. I know that this is a different age in baseball, and it's all about trajectory and home run and hard hits and all. .210
is not a good player.
.210. I just can't get into it, man. Just can't get into it. Looks like Pop, your screen maybe froze there.
Hey,
we'll get him back in a second here. He might be coming back now. There he is.
You in and out too. So pretty much, since we haven't, let's jump on this pick 6 before the internet tries to end the show.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. So we have here, if it's going to let me show us, we have here. Hold on.
It's a magic trick.
Yeah. Hold on. I think we all right. All right, I'm back. And Mike, you can hear me?
Now I can. There you go.
I just had to reset. MLB PrimeTime PK6 tonight, 47-1. Mike, this is where I'm going with this. Reds money line to kick it off, -170, but I know it will be lower when most go ahead and use their bet and get to the window to bet this. Then we have the Yankees tonight with the -1.5. I think that, they get themselves a good win tonight and everybody goes home happy because this is a must-win situation for them. Then we also have the over 9.5 with the Orioles and the Blue Jays tonight. I like it. It's probably going to creep up to 10 by the time we get to the game as well, too. So look out for that because it's at 9.5. Then I got your Red Sox here at -105 tonight. And then also I have the over 8.5 with the Pirates and the White Sox. And then we have Brewers money line +155 tonight. That's a 47-1 ticket right there, Mike.
It's kind of funny how many times we've been 100% on the same page -1 pick. That's the same thing for us tonight because I took the Angels over the Yankees and you're -1.5ing them. But other than that, man, I love your play. I think it's legit, man. I like 5 of the 6 plays, and realistically, the 6th one is in your favor with Cole and the Yankees. So I think that's a nice play, man. I'd drop 20 on this in a heartbeat.
Right, and if you add your Angels tonight, it'd be a 60-1.
Well, it might be worth playing it both ways.
Right.
Maybe the Angels on the plus, give them +1.5 as your backup, minus for the Yankees, or use the money line for the Angels and prop up that parlay odds. Either way, if you get 5 out of 6, that game is the last game. You're just sitting back smiling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. So pretty much that's a wrap on the show today. But you guys already know you guys can hear Mike tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time, the Mike Abadir show on the Radio America Network. And the Radio America
Voice
Network,
Voice
of America. See, yeah. Mike has a radio show, but a lot of you guys be like, Mike's podcast. No, Mike has a radio show.
But there are archives, and you can catch it on Apple iTunes and anywhere that has podcasts as well.
Right. I just like to just do that because so many people everybody thinks somebody's doing a podcast.
Yeah.
This show is a podcast. Like, no, it's not a podcast because most podcasts we're just rambling and talking about just everything. But we have structure here.
Yes.
We have structure here. So you guys can hear Mike tomorrow. Make sure you follow him at Mike Abadir on the Twitter as well. So you guys make sure to find him there. And pretty much I'll be back tomorrow at noon to shooting the breeze once again. And I'll be having some pretty good college talk for you because I'm going to have some college games to go over tomorrow, Mike. So
nice. Now I'll be tuning in.
We'll get away from all this feathery stuff, all this first take, undisputed topics, and we're gonna just get straight down to the nitty gritty, to the game, and to the money, man. That's what the show is all about.
Sounds good to me. As always, Pop, thank you for having me, and I'll see you same time, same place next week.
Sir, I can't wait. All right, that is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, live with the one and only Pop DBIC, the Primetime Capper, and the man himself, Mr. Mike Abadir. And as I always say, if you got a hunch, bet a bunch. Always bet with your head, not with your heart. And the movement is moving, and I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.